you along with the other two, it's gonna be food. So you know what time is it? It's time to eat.
This episode of Turntables is brought to you by iSecurity USA.
And welcome back, folks, to the Turntable here with E and D at One Division Pro. And today we are going to be talking and discussing this month's championship opportunity between Casey Lycan and champion Jared Diaz.
I really like Casey Lycan in this match.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm ready to see a psychiatric patient holding the championship.
I don't feel like he's a psychiatric patient as much as he's just misunderstood.
Misunderstood?
The man had a car crash. That wouldn't send any man over the edge.
Listen, if I've been in a car accident, I don't go around beating up my therapist.
Well, has your therapist ever pissed you off?
Yes.
I don't believe that. You have too many anger issues.
I'm simply saying that right now it seems like we have a guy like Jared Diaz on our hands, and I don't see him losing the belt this soon.
For as good as Jared Diaz is, I feel like you can't beat a guy like Casey Lycan. He's just operating at a different level, and to be honest with you, he's motivated. He's very motivated. He's coming back from a car crash. This man had to go through physical therapy. He had to go through psychiatric therapy, and people still don't believe in him.
Listen,
I would treat everybody the same way too. I'd have beat up my therapist just as well.
You have valid points. I'm not arguing with you, brother. Casey Lycan has obviously, felt that he has been looked over and pushed over. This is his third opportunity for the championship. And after the third time, we all know in baseball, 3 strikes and you're out. And then he's already had to have run-ins.
This isn't baseball. This is wrestling.
I get it, but it's still sport. And when at the end of the day, in a sport where it's 90% mental. If you're not all the way there mentally, can you really see him as a champion? And not only that, he's still got to look over his back at the end of the day because you beefing with your former tag team partner. Seeing as you've got somebody that's got their eyes on you, now, you never know what's going to happen.
Don't you think that may have caused him to have the psychiatric break?
I mean, if my best friend ever hit me with a car, I'd actually,
Exactly. All right. Now, Casey Lycan is probably one of our best. I won't hit you with a car.
I'm hoping
Casey Lycan is one of our best sports artists that we have here, and he would be a great 1DP champion.
He would be a phenomenal world champion, but just not now. I don't see it happening. That's just the truth of the matter. I like his chances.
I disagree with you
on
that, partner. I'm sorry.
Listen, we got a world premier athlete in Jared Diaz.
Jared Diaz is just too cocky, and that'll cause him the match.
Listen, man.
We've seen it, and he got lucky when he beat Hex. You know it, and the whole crowd knows it.
Listen,
everybody that watches 1DP and that knows our sports artists, they know he got lucky.
Listen, you're correct at the controversial means in which he won the belt. But ever since winning the belt, he has defended it with pride and honor. The last man to defend it, not only in the States, but overseas, Devontae.
And that's a great accomplishment.
To England.
That's a great accomplishment.
He made it a world championship.
And that's great. But he got there off the back of Hyena Hex.
Listen, man. First off, Hex has a whole lot of other things to be worried about before he can even think to get back in the ring for the world championship. Before he can even think to do that, he's got to go through Stephen Persons, all right? Now, I'm a big Hex guy. I am the biggest Hex believer in the company. But right now, is he mentally there when it comes to Stephen Persons? It seems like Steve is in his head.
In all honesty, I think Steve is in his head too. And I like Steve's chances of getting through this match. It's an hour. Now, we haven't seen Steve go an hour in the ring. And we don't know if he can keep up with Hex. Hex has the speed, the agility, he has the talent. He's clearly one of our best premier athletes.
I argue
he's one of our best sports artists. He is a Grand Slam champion, but he's not there. And if you think Casey Lycan isn't there, then you don't understand that Hex isn't either.
I think we're comparing apples to oranges right now.
I think it's pears to apples.
There and compare a guy like Casey Lycan, and I'm not taking anything away from the guy. The guy's a phenomenal sports artist. The fact that he had to go up against a former friend turned rival, the fact that he had to even sit there and go through all the psychiatric dealings that he had to do with Dr. Delval, the fact that he completed all of those, and now he's earned his shot. I believe
well deserved.
This right here is the best it's gonna get. But even when things are at its best, sometimes it ain't gonna win out for you. You know what I'm saying? And right now, I'm vying a loss for Casey, and I still got my money on Hex, despite the fact that he might not always be mentally there right now. He's still arguably the best sports artist we have on our books, to not put your money on the hyena.
Now,
come on, man.
Now, don't you think because he's one of our best sports artists, going up against somebody he should beat soundly in Steven Persons, is it going to lead to a little bit of overconfidence?
I do
a
think
bit
it
of
does.
Cockiness. He's going to go into that match thinking that Steven cannot hang with him. And guess what? It's going to blow up in his face. And Steven is going to do something like confetti or throw another cake in his face.
This is true. This is true. We all know that he likes to joke around, but when he's serious, he is serious. And he is still one of our top tier artists. So I can see Steve pulling out a victory. But what would that do in the grand scheme of things? I'm thinking that in this hypothetical scenario, like you said, if Steve does manage to find a way to beat my guy Hex, then I think he's the next guy in the running for the One Division Championship.
You know, it's hard to argue with you on that one, but I want to let you know the moment that Steve wins this Iron Man match, because I'm saying Steve will win. I can bet my top dollar on it. Steve will win this match. Hyena Hex is going to lose his mind, and then he'll be the one in psychiatric ward.
Listen, I understand that Mystical said if you seen him in the woods with a bear to help the bear, but a regular person like Steven Person cannot go in the ring with a hyena. We're not talking about a man. We're talking about an animal. We're talking about a guy who's hungry. We're talking about the first ever Imperial Champion, the first ever Grand Slam champion, the longest reigning 1DP champion. If you don't think that his eyes are set on this, then I don't know what you're talking about. Because at the end of the day, this right here is a stepping stone to allow him back at Jared Diaz. And at the end of the day, he's never gotten his opportunity back. Let's call a spade a spade.
If he loses again, he won't get his opportunity. But we'll see at 1DP reunion on February 23rd, 2025. Tune in, guys.